So what do you see in Quinn that gives you hope that he could run an effective NFL passing game?
Yeah, I thought, I think we all were really proud of Quinn from last game. You kind of could see his attitude through the week. He's got a little confidence to him, a little moxie to him, in how he went and operated through the week when he was given his opportunity. I think everybody saw how he worked when he was on scout team and he was kind of waiting for his chance and how much he improved through the course of the season. And then for him to be able to go out and really, by and large, put into practice in the game the things that he had been working on and he had improved upon, and didn't let the game get too big for him is a great starting point for a young quarterback. He handled the pocket really well. He handled progressions and reads really well. I think the hardest thing for a young quarterback to do, especially with where our offense has gotten, is handle the operation, the huddle, the motions, the snap points. Like there's a lot on their plate every play, and he knocked a lot of that stuff out of the park. So I think just from there, there's absolutely things to improve upon for him. I know he wants a couple throws back. He wants a couple reads back. The sneak, obviously. So, like, there's things he can grow and improve upon without a doubt. But for week one, I thought that was a really good showing for him.
Is there any young quarterback he reminds you of that you've seen or coached over the last 20 years?
Yeah, I've had a few reps at the rookie quarterback thing, but they're all different. They all have kind of different skill sets, different areas that they're really good at. I think Quinn's composure in the pocket really stands out. Rarely do you get a guy that just steps in right away with the chaos of an NFL pocket, and he's got calm feet, he's got calm eyes. He navigated that thing really well. He knew when he had time to buy some extra hitches. He knew when he had an issue and he had to get rid of the ball pretty quick. He navigated the chaos really well. I thought that was one of his strong suits.
How did you see him respond after two picks? I mean, one of them seemingly wasn't necessarily his fault, but I feel like you can tell a lot about a quarterback with how he responds. So how did you see him respond, I guess, on the sideline after the two interceptions?
Yeah, I thought it was exactly what you would want. I didn't really think it. He knew what had happened. He knew what had gone wrong as far as, he just kind of got a little sped up in his process and his decision making on that one, and threw a ball into a tough spot. And he knew that immediately, but you could also tell right away that that wasn't going to affect him. And you need to have that at quarterback at the NFL level. Like there's going to be things when there's 21 other pieces moving on a field, all over the place. There's going to be times that a mistake's going to happen or you're going to turn the ball over, and you got to be able to recognize what it was that went wrong, learn from it, but also not let it affect the next snap. And he didn't. He moved right on and he kept playing. Obviously, I think the first pick, he knew he did what he was supposed to do. He actually threw a really good ball right where it was supposed to go, and we need to be able to count on the guys around him to attack that thing and pull it in for him. But I thought he was on the right mindset.
I mean, not to oversimplify things, but are there one or two things that we laymen will be able to look at Quinn next game and say, oh, I see improvement in this area or that area?
Yeah, I'd say just efficiency in throws, and I think he was pretty efficient still, even in his first week. But there were a couple throws that he would say got away from him, I would bet, if you asked him. And more of it wasn't so much his throwing mechanics or where he was putting the ball. I think he put the ball exactly where he wanted to put the ball. What happens is you get out there, and it's your first time out there, and through the course of a game, you start to get sped up. And I thought he just got a little sped up a few times, and that impacted some of the inaccuracies, and there were very few of them. And if those kind of go by the wayside, then you'll know he's in a really good spot as far as owning what's going on the field.
Quantify maybe how much of the offense remains the same with him in as opposed to two, and maybe how many different things he can open the offense up to, like we saw him successfully scramble, dive forward, the quarterback sneak. I don't think we would see previously. Just how many things are the same and different?
Yeah, I think. Well, I'll start off with the scramble. I think part of what helped that was his first third down of the game. I've already talked about a few things that he can improve upon, and we get to a third down, we call play, and he holds onto the ball a little longer than he probably needed to, as far as what his read was and what he was looking at. But but then he goes off schedule and he really makes a heck of a throw to Waller and makes a great play, but he took a shot, you know, and it actually is shocking a little bit with young guys that kind of get you going, you know, and a lot of times it calms you down, if anything, and I felt that with him, and then he just started from operation on really owning everything. Now, is it a little different than Tua as far as, you know, I think Tua is exceptional and special in how he can handle the huddle, command the huddle, own what we do on offense with, I mean, there's people moving everywhere before the ball snapped, you know, and a lot of that was on Tua, and he almost never had an error in that regard, and I think that's a lot to handle, and I think Quinn is working to get there and is pretty dang close, but that's probably where there's just a few minute adjustments. There's a little bit of pre-snap stuff, but not a lot. We're still going to do everything that we do. And then I would say Tua is really exceptional at anticipatory throws, you know, letting the ball go really early, particularly before receivers are even out of their break. And Quinn doesn't necessarily do that as naturally as Tua did, but he can make up for it. You know, he's got a really whippy release, and he might throw it later, but it might get there at the same time because of how the ball just kind of fires off his wrist. So it's been fun to watch how different they are, and yet we don't have to change anything. Long answer that probably wasn't needed, but
Realistically speaking, we know that, you know, this was his first time, last was his first practice running with the ones. Just how, I'm sure it's like it's difficult to put its exact time frame on it, but when do you think he'll be like the most comfortable throwing with guys that he didn't throw with, you know, prior to like a week ago? Like, from like a speed standpoint, I'm sorry.
No, that's a good question, because like building a rapport with your eligibles that's very real at that position, and I think it's very different for every person. Like, and that goes, Quinn might roll out and he might have a great rapport with Waddle right away, and it just clicks. But he might struggle a little bit with Waller, or it might be the other way, or he might just take 2 weeks for everybody. Like it's so individualized for everybody that I can't really give you an answer. But I could tell you that they're working their butts off in the background, trying to make sure they're getting on the same page. I know going into the game last week, Quinn felt really good about being on the same page with, you know, Waddle's speed, Waller's size, you know, where Greg's at, where Ced's at, and really everybody across the board. He felt like he had a good feel. So I think that's only going to continue to grow and build as they continue to get reps here, because they're putting the work in on it.